Ever since financial regulations were introduced to European football, clubs have devised creative ways to offset their expenses to avoid penalties. Some clubs have invested in state-of-the-art stadiums that host not only football matches, but also concerts and other sporting events to increase revenue. Others have taken more unique approaches, like putting their players on exceptionally long contracts to reduce annual amortization costs. There is, however, one method that all clubs have become accustomed to, a method both controversial and widespread: the sale of academy players. Despite the significant costs associated with operating football academies, where annual expenses for some Premier League academies can reach up to £40 million and individual player development can cost up to £500,000, clubs continue to invest in these institutions. This is not only to cultivate future talent for their first teams, but also to generate revenue from selling academy players. Between 2014 and 2023, Benfica generated more than £444 million from the sale of their academy players. During the same period, clubs like Ajax, Real Madrid and Olympique Lyonnais earned over £300 million, while Premier League teams Chelsea, Tottenham and Manchester City all made more than £200 million from their academy sales. These clubs are dedicated to selling their academy players because the sale represents pure profit in the club's financial records. Since academy players are developed in-house and not acquired through the transfer system, they have an almost zero-cost basis on the club's books, making the sale of academy players an effective strategy to generate revenue and comply with financial regulations. Instead of focusing primarily on developing future players and leaders for the club, academies now function as both training grounds and businesses. They help offset the cost of acquiring star players by selling homegrown talent, with academy players being viewed by the club as both potential stars and valuable assets that can be sold. While it might seem adverse that clubs treat a lot of their academy players more like commodities than promising talent, there's also a paradox at play that compels them to sell their younger homegrown talents. Even if a club has a promising young player with exceptional skill in their academy, prioritizing them over, say, a marquee signing or an established senior player wouldn't be wise. A move like this could disrupt a successful system and negatively impact the senior player's confidence. Moreover, even if a young academy player is exceptionally talented, the likelihood of them outperforming seasoned first-choice players is low, unless they're among the rare few who excel from a very young age. This makes integrating academy players into the first team challenging, as clubs in top-flight leagues, despite being open to experimentation, would still be taking a risk. As a result, clubs often only have two options for academy players to gain regular professional experience: loaning them out or giving them a few appearances throughout the season. While most academy players from major clubs are generally content with being loaned out to gain experience, there's a personal limit to how many times they can accept this before seeking regular first-team action. The same applies to those who reach the first team but only play as backups. Frustrated and seeking more playing time, academy players often choose to transfer to another club where they have a better chance of securing more minutes, which is understandable. Football is a fickle industry, and as a player ages without proving themselves on the big stage, the chances of fans and the industry losing interest in them increase. They have a limited window to demonstrate their ability at the top level before the next generation of star players arrive. If they don't act fast, they risk being sidelined and having their careers stunted. So, beyond the financial incentives clubs have in selling homegrown talent, players often exercise their own agency and decide to leave their club for the sake of their own career and future. Cole Palmer's transfer to Chelsea from Manchester City illustrates the academy player paradox well. Although his situation deviates slightly from the motivations mentioned earlier, it still aligns with the core dilemma. Palmer initially wants to go out on loan, but Pep Guardiola's approach to exceptional academy players involves gradually integrating them into the first team, rather than outsourcing their development or forcing them in too quickly. This strategy helps familiarize players with the club's tactical and positional style while preparing the best of them for a permanent promotion. When Palmer initially requested a loan, the club presented him with an ultimatum: stay at Manchester City or be sold.
My thing was to never leave City. That was not my intention. I wanted to go on loan for a year, come back and be ready for the first team. But they said I can't go on loan. Like, you either stay or you get sold.
This ultimatum aligned with the club's policy of keeping the development of their most talented academy players in-house. Palmer chose to remain, but only after being promised significant playing time in the 2022-23 season, which he didn't get. As he grew increasingly more frustrated with his lack of playing time, City appeared to be open to reconsidering a loan move for the 2023-24 season to keep him at the club. However, by that point, Parma had already made up his mind to leave, regardless of whether a loan was on the table or not. Parma's situation underscores the limited opportunities available to young academy players at major clubs when high-profile and established players hold first-team positions. There is very little room for them to have regular play or even logical reasoning as to why they should be prioritised over more senior players, especially at a team like Manchester City, which strives to perform at its best every game. While players like Foden are comfortable with a gradual integration process and others like Gallagher are willing to be loaned out for multiple seasons, a lot of talented academy players prefer a swifter route to the first team. They want to be promoted as soon as possible, whether that's at their current club or elsewhere. Whether clubs sell their academy players for profit or see their talented prospects leave, if successful, the sale creates a loop effect that perpetuates a cycle. For example, although Parma left Manchester City, his subsequent success at Chelsea reflects positively on City's academy system, serving as evidence of their ability to create star players. So, despite losing a talented player, the club still garners recognition for their role in his development. This success and recognition enhances the club's academy reputation, enabling them to command higher prices for future prospects, thereby providing more funds and flexibility for transfer activities. Ironically, the flexibility that will enable the club to continue significant spending on transfers ends up making it tougher for their promising academy players to become first-team regulars. From the outside looking in, I personally find this more interesting than despotic, but I know that people who romanticize academies, or more specifically, academy and local talent in their teams, probably find it more dystopian. But that's the nature of football today in its globalized form. Ruthlessness is part of the game, and now that the cycle has started for most clubs, they need to continue to perpetuate it, or risk falling behind their counterparts. On the brighter side, it is reassuring that talented players and their advisors also realize the power they hold, as Parma did, and choose to leave or pressure their club instead of just being another docile asset in the business of football.